You know what? I have a really bad habit of shooting myself in the foot. It was entirely my own fault. I had the best of intentions. I really thought it would work out. I clearly made a massive miscalculation. Now, to be honest with you, it might be that I was trying to be a little overzealous, dare I say it, trying to impress people even with my dedication and spiritual stature. I've fallen into the same trap several times in my life. Well, actually, probably many times. There you go, I confessed it. The thing is, it's not wrong to have a high work ethic. It's when you become a workaholic that you hit problems. That won't impress anybody and just gets you into trouble with the wife. My father was the same, so probably I got the work bug from him. Got to blame somebody. He was hard-working, he was a builder, decorator. He worked for himself most of his life. He scraped together a reasonable living, although we lived in a downstairs rented flat in London when I was growing up. No TV. When we eventually did get one, it was black and white, rented by Rediffusion. No telephone, an outside loo, no bathroom. My mother would boil kettles of water and fill an old metal bath dragged in from the backyard, and squeezing into the scullery, there I would have my bath once a week. The rest of the time, I'd be sitting in a massive white sink, getting clean the best way I could. So my father worked long hours to maintain what little we had in those days. My mother worked too. She had an old bicycle with a basket on the front. We used to call them hallelujah bikes in those days because they'd been made famous by the Dutch Reformed Church, the people of which used their bikes to cycle to church every Sunday. She would cycle around the streets of London as a mobile hairdresser, cutting and perming the hair of her clients whilst being quite preachy with them about her faith. They still invited her back for another haircut. When you're cutting somebody's hair, you've got a captive audience for an hour or two, right? So that's my excuse. Blame it on the parents. But no, not really. We all have to take responsibility, don't we, for our own lives and stop blaming other people. But I confess, it was my fault. What? You may well ask. I'll come to that in a minute. Being busy and doing things can lead us into another pitfall. We can easily mistake who we are by what we do. And of course, what we do doesn't define us. It might explain things about us, but it's not who we are. And my problem for many years was that I compared filofaxes with my colleagues and had to make sure that mine contained more diary entries than anyone else's. Pathetic, don't you think? I still use a filofax, by the way, but I digress. And so it was that after arriving here in Quainton and Oving, I discovered that in both churches there were some Sundays where there's no morning or evening service. Sometimes no morning, sometimes no evening. It's shocking. I was brought up to go to church every Sunday morning, every Sunday evening, and Sunday school in the afternoon at 3 o'clock, right? Like many of you were. So fairly quickly, I filled in the gaps. It meant that some Sundays I was leading and preaching at 5 services. 8 a.m. Holy Communion, Book of Common Prayer, Quainton, followed by 9:30 family service, Quainton, then off to Oving, where I led an 11 o'clock family service, followed by coffee and walnut cake, of course, and then 5 o'clock Holy Communion at Evensong back in Oving, and then back to Quainton for a 6:30 p.m. Evensong or Holy Communion. I feel tired just thinking about it. After a few months, I wore myself out. Surprised? Now, with the help and wisdom of both my PCCs, for those not versed in Church for England governance, PCC is the Parochial Church Council, a bit like deacons would be in some churches or elders in other churches. I've come to a sensible, workable service rota now with their help and advice, and with the advice and encouragement of my colleagues. I'm still busy, but it's manageable. Up next, Nikki, show 'em your cross.